Rates, ratios, and conversions. A ratio compares two numbers by division, where the denominator cannot be 0. Let's use a ratio to solve the following rate problem. A tank travels 25 miles in 60 minutes. Moving at this rate, how long will it take the tank to travel 150 miles? So the tank is going to travel 25 miles in 60 minutes. So we can set that up as a proportion. 25 miles, and it takes the tank 60 minutes. So if the tank continues to travel at this pace, how long will it take the tank to go 150 miles? The key thing to remember is if we put the miles on top, then we have to put the miles on top of the other side. And we do not know how long it's going to take. That's what we want to find out. So we're going to look for X number of minutes. So we have to solve this proportion. Solve this rate problem by solving for X. So we can solve it like an equation that we solved before, or we can just multiply here. X equals 150 times 60. We just multiply, and then we divide by the 25. So X equals 150 times 60, which is 9,000, divided by the 25. So therefore X equals 360 minutes. So make sure you put these labels on there, because that is going to be important as we go forward to make sure that we have the right unit. This next example, a sparrow flies 12 miles in 35 minutes. How far will the sparrow fly in 2 hours? Okay, so this time we're going to have to get our minutes and hours the same. Okay, so I want you to think that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So in 2 hours, there must be twice as many minutes. So 2 times 60 is 120 minutes. So that's one way to think about how to do that. So we have 120 minutes. That's how far we want to go. Alright, so now setting up the ratio, we have 12 miles in 35 minutes. And we want to know how far the sparrow is going to travel in 120 minutes. Okay, so what we have to do is the same thing we did before, multiply and then divide. So X equals 12 times 120 divided by 35. So X equals 1,440 divided by 35. So my final answer, if you type it in the calculator, the sparrow is going to fly approximately 41.14 miles in 2 hours. And that's your final answer. Now we have conversion rates as well, which we kind of started on in that last example. A conversion rate is a ratio of two equivalent measurements in different units. So we're going to do an example to convert rates of different types. First of all, we have 330 minutes to hours. So we want to take 330 minutes and turn them into hours. So how we're going to do that is we realize, as we said before, is there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So I'm going to put my minutes on the bottom because my 330 is on top, and I want my conversion, my rates, to cancel out. I want my minutes to cancel out, leaving me with just the hours. So I got to put them on the opposite sides of the fraction bar. And then I can just multiply. So at this point, I have 330 over 60. And then I crossed out my minutes, so I'm just left with my hours. And then I just solve that. So I get 5.5 hours. But what this actually means is it's 5 hours, and then half an hour is 30 minutes. So that would be your final answer. In this next one, we want to change 5 feet 3 inches into inches. Okay, so we already have part of it that's in inches, so we're just going to add that on at the end. But we're going to start with converting this 5 feet into inches. So we need to know how many inches are in a foot. So you should remember from previous classes that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So we're going to make that into a ratio, and we're going to do that, we're going to multiply by putting the feet part on the bottom of the ratio. So it will be 1 foot, and then it's equal to 12 inches. So 12 inches. And then we can cancel out our feet here, leaving me with 5 times 12, and then the inches. 5 times 12 is 60. But we also have this extra 3 inches here, so make sure we add the 3 inches. So 60 plus 3 is 63 inches. Example, here we're going to set up ratios and conversions. The CN Tower in Toronto, Canada is about 1,815 feet tall. About how many meters tall is the tower? Use the fact that 1 meter is 3.28 feet. So I have a 1,815 foot tower, and I want to change that into meters, and my conversion is 1 meter is 3.28 feet. So I'm going to put the feet on the bottom so they can cancel out when I multiply. So 3.28 feet, and then in the numerator I'm going to have 1 meter. So then when I cancel my units, the feet cancel, leaving me with 1,815 meters over 3.28. Alright, and then I just type that into the calculator to solve, and you would get roughly 553.35 meters. And that would be how tall the CN Tower is in meters. In this next example, we're going to set up ratios and conversions. A runner ran a 150-foot dash in 5.8 seconds. So we're going to start with that. 150 feet in 5.8 seconds. And at what speed did he run in miles per hour? So we have to convert feet to miles and seconds to hours. So the conversion for miles and feet is 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So I'm going to multiply by 1 mile over 5,280 feet. And then my feet can cancel out, leaving me with 150 miles over 5.8 times 5,280 seconds. Okay, now I have to convert the seconds into hours. So 150 miles over 5.8 times 5,280 seconds. So there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. And then there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So make sure you set them up opposite on the fraction bar so they can cancel out. So my seconds cancels out, my minutes cancel out, leaving me with hours and miles. So I have 150 times 60 times 60 miles over 5.8 times 5,280 hours. So we would get 540,000 miles divided by 31,046.4 hours. And then when you type that into your calculator, you would get roughly 17.39 miles per hour. And that would be your final answer. Those are your notes over rates, ratios, and conversions. Go through the practice problems. Make sure you can set up all of these different types of problems and solve them. And then you might be ready for your quiz.